Hey ladies and gentlemen, in this video today I'm going to show you a quick review of how to build a basic house and then how to use tags to take the roof off so you can work on the interior. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to lay out the basic shape of our house. Now there are a couple ways to do this, and I've shown you how to use the pencil tool and the rectangle tool. We're going to draw a little bit of a different shaped house this time. So we're going to click on the pencil tool, and we're just going to draw a line about 25 to 30 feet long. Now if you remember, you simply click once to attach the first point, then drag a line parallel to one of the axis lines, and then while you're in this sort of free-floating mode, you can just type in on your keyboard a measurement. So I'm going to type in 30 feet, use the apostrophe for feet, and hit enter. And that's my first line. I'm going to use the wheel on my mouse to zoom out. If you have a trackpad, you can just use 2 fingers. I'm going to make another line this time. This time we're going to make it about 20 feet long, and hit enter. Now it's okay that it kind of went off the screen over here. If you remember, I can go to the bottom left hand corner, click on my view tools, and select the pan tool. Now I can move my mouse, move my camera to where I can see the rest of my screen. I can then use the orbit tool to rotate that to where I can see it a little bit better. Now, watch this. When I click my pencil tool, you'll notice the line is still attached. It went right back to where it was. Now I want to draw a line back on the green axis. Now do be careful. If you notice it's trying to snap back to the blue axis here, that would actually be going up or down. In this case, that would be going 12 feet 5 and 5/16 of an inch down, which we certainly don't want. So what I'm going to do is just move until it snaps green again. And if you remember last time, we went 30 feet. This time I'm only going to go 15 feet. I'll go another 10 or so feet, and then drag down to where it wants to reconnect. Now, normally it'll try to snap to another point, for instance, this point over here. If it doesn't, and if you start drawing more complex shapes, it won't always find your point. That's not a big deal. I'm just going to draw a line past here and click. Then I'm going to use my selection tool up here to clear the line, so I'm no longer attached. I can now go back to my pencil tool and drag a line across and join it here. That'll now close the figure, and I can use the eraser to get rid of that little piece over here. Guys, one thing about this program, there are multiple ways of doing things. I could have just made a giant box and then drawn a line and dragged that piece of it out. I could have drawn lines in a different order. The thing is, find just a system that works for you. Next thing I'm going to do, click on this push-pull block, and I'm going to raise this up. Let's go 10 feet this time. We'll make slightly higher ceilings, and hit enter. So here we have the general layout of our house. Now if you're trying to follow along with this, you don't need to use the exact measurements. You can just play around with this and build something that works for you. Next step is we need to put the roof on. Now in the previous tutorial, I showed you that if you find a line on the midpoint and you drag it across, that you could make a roof line. Now, if I try that over here, you'll see it's not going to work. It's not going to want to pull up because it can't pull up evenly. So I'm just going to undo that, get rid of that line. There is a couple of other ways to do this though. Well, there are a couple of other ways. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the midpoint of this line right here, and I'm going to make a line going straight up. And I'm just going to go up 8 feet. Drag over both directions. So it's a fairly shallow roof. Oh. See what happened? I didn't pay attention to which line I was on. So I'm going to undo that. See, I even show you guys my mistakes. So now I'm going to raise that straight up. This is why it's so important to watch your lines you're on. That was on the green axis. I want to be on the blue axis to go straight up. There we go. And now we'll connect our dots to both sides. Now we've got the general shape. I'm going to click and drag a line this direction, and go up here 8 feet. Now I've basically got the center line drawn, and I can connect the points this direction. I'll extend this line out and draw a line in this direction. So a little bit of a different trick than how I showed you to do the roof last time. Now, that still leaves this little piece right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the eraser. We'll get rid of these lines right here because we don't need them anymore. Those were just guidelines to help us find our center points. We're going to do the same basic thing, but on a slope over here. And that's going to allow us to draw the other part of our peak. So I'm going to take my pencil tool. I'm going to find that midpoint again and drag a line straight up. I'm going to draw a line down on both sides. So now we have the general shape of our roof. I'm then going to use a pencil on the midpoint and drag a line straight up. And at some point, it's automatically going to try to find that point. So I can click and connect it, and then attach lines to both sides to make my house. So here we have the shape of our house. Now, if this line doesn't want to find the other edge, so if I'm going up and it just doesn't want to snap, or if I can't seem to find that peak, same as a while ago. You click and just drag a line straight up, make it nice and tall, and then draw another line from this point to connect. Make sure it's either on the red or green axis, whichever way you're going. Then you can erase the other piece, and you have that same guideline. So here we have the outline of our house. Now, that's just the outside. If we want to get on the inside, we're actually going to use a tool from the right-sided menu. Right in the middle here, you'll see where it says tags. Now, tags are basically like layers. And the nice thing is you can actually turn them on and off. Right now, I've only got one layer. It's the default layer, which is called untagged. And this little eyeball right here shows me that that layer is visible. What I'm going to do is click the plus sign and add a new layer, or a new tag, and call it my roof layer. I like to rename them because it helps make things a little bit easier to find. Okay, I'm going to click this little eyeball and turn that layer off. Now the layer lines will still be there, but it will be invisible. Anything on this layer will be invisible. Now, right now there's nothing on this layer, so nothing really changed. But we're going to change that in just a second. We're going to go back on the right side and click at the very top option. This is Entity Info. Now, right now there's no entity selected, so it says no selection. But if I go and I click on my arrow, and I select, let's say, this face right here, and it'll tell me some information like the size and the material, and what layer it's currently on, or what tag it currently has assigned to it. So I'm going to click on this and change this to my roof layer. Notice it disappears. I can do that to this piece right here as well. I'll put it to my roof layer, and it disappears. I can go through, and each part of my roof, I can simply click on and add to that layer. So we'll move this to our roof layer. Now this piece right here, this triangle, is actually on the inside, so we don't even need this. So we can use the eraser and erase those lines right there. Those aren't going to show up. Now, I actually haven't deleted anything. If I click on this eyeball, notice everything comes back. I'm simply removing the visibility. So I'll click on my last space, change the layer, change the tag to the roof, and now I have access to the inside of my house. Same thing goes for these lines. If I don't want any of these lines to show up, just make sure you're right on the line, I can move them to the roof layer. Take a second, move each of these to the roof layer or the roof tag. In many other modeling softwares, you'll hear this called a layer. SketchUp uses the example of a tag. There it goes. And I'll select this last line and put that on the roof. So now, with a simple mouse click, I can turn my roof off or on. So off and on. If you accidentally close these somehow, again, entity info is right up here and tags are right over here. The eyeball will make things visible and invisible. Now you can get in and access the inside of your house. If you want to paint it a different color, you can click on your paint bucket tool. Inside there are things like carpet fabrics for floor coverings. I could make a carpeted floor. I could go to tile, which is right over here, some kind of a tile floor down. There are wood coverings that look similar to a wood flooring. That's pretty good. Whatever your style you want. You can also pick from the different colors that are available to paint your interior walls. Let's say I want my interior walls to be gray. Let's say I want this to be a bedroom back here with different colored walls. So I'll select kind of maybe a dark green in this section. Now you'll notice if I try to paint this piece right here, the entire wall turns. So I'll undo that. You can draw lines on the interior of walls as well to separate them. So this line right now is going to separate this room in two. I could connect this line down here and this line up here. Now you'll notice it does recreate this plane, which I can just click on and use the delete key to get rid of and make an additional room. I'll use a rectangle tool like we had done to draw a door. I'm not going to be too fancy with the sizing here. And this could be, let's say, an interior door, like a light peach color. So there you go. That's the basic way you do the layout of a house, turn the roof off, and access the inside of your house.